Welcome back to Pole Barn Garage. For today, we're going to work on this 63 Biscayne. This car's kind of cool. Dad picked this up for $850 from a guy who tried to give him the car for free. His name is Ed, and if he's watching, thanks Ed. Here's a picture of Ed in this car back in the late 1970s. And it's a four-door post Biscayne that his grandfather bought brand new. His dad drove, and then he drove. It is a four-door post. Unfortunate, right? Well, looky there. The car was originally an automatic, but now it has a 4-speed. And back in the 70s, Ed had a 327 in it with that 4-speed. Well, the gas crunch hit. Ed put the 6-cylinder that was originally in the car back in it, but left the 4-speed. Dad and I have a blown small block that would look really good in here. This car's been parked approximately 40 years. You can see it used to have Chevrolet decals on the fenders. It's got the Kmart chrome slots on it. Oh, here's an inspection sticker. That inspection sticker is punched 1977, it looks like. Maybe 78. There's virtually no interior, and it certainly has a distinct aroma about it. Haven't even got the hood open. I haven't got nothing. I mean, I got this door open. I don't know, they just don't want to open all the way. Step one here is definitely wash the thing off. Let's get it cleaned out, get that hood open, make sure we don't bend the hinges, because this car is actually very, very straight. Has a little bit of rust in it, but it's not bad at all. All the glass is good, and I really don't think there's a dent in this car. Looks like it's still wearing most of its original black lacquer paint. What the hell is that?
Oh.
Is that a mite or something? I don't know. Everything is super crunchy. I mean, it hasn't been opened up probably in the 40 years it's been sitting. So we're gonna lubricate the hell out of everything first. Oh. There it goes. Can't even move these freaking buttons on the door handles. I can try.
See it even?
My friend Steve Mignante calls this car-thritis. If you didn't know, this car is an X-frame car. The frame of the car makes an X in the middle. Most of the strength of these cars comes from the rockers and the dogleg here. Usually they're pretty crusty, but this car is actually surprisingly solid, like structurally sound even. There we go, all 4 doors. Windows work pretty good. Gotta get that damn trunk open. I turned it.
I don't think it's releasing.
I don't think it is either. I can't get this. I think we have to clean the inside out, unbolt that latch from the inside. I'll crawl in there as soon as we hit this with the shop vac.
Some type of household carpet in it. I bet this thing didn't have carpet from the factory.
No, it's rubber floor mat, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You think that's seat on bolts, or we just leave it and work around it?
All right, let's try cleaning around it.
Finally see what we got under here. No springs on either side. 230 cubes of raw power. It's been chewed on a little bit. Probably whatever ate the interior. Did a good job of putting that back in. Looks like a Muncie. It is. Even though we have bigger plans for this thing down the road, let's see if it spins. Ooh. Oh. We might be putting that small block in sooner than later. I mean, I haven't hit it with a... Well, there is no balancer bolt on these. They're press-on.
Nope, that's called a boat anchor.
We could yank the plugs out easy enough and soak it. Let me get these plugs out of here, just so we can get this thing soaking while we work on cleaning up the rest of it. Some corn. You want some? Number 3 is the one with water in it. That plug is really corroded. And all 6 plugs out. We'll goop that up soon. This looks better.
Yeah, standing water underneath there. Carpet.
Ask 100 different people, you'll get 100 different answers as to what the best thing is to break loose a rusted stuck engine. Me, I like 50-50 automatic transmission fluid and lacquer thinner or acetone or whatever I happen to have. Today's flavor is lacquer thinner. Fill her up and let that eat on it, and it may work, it may not. Oh, too much. Oh, way too much. Oh shit, don't light any matches. Dad found probably the last tag from this car, 1978, which matches the inspection sticker in the window. off the road for 46 years. Doesn't show it at all.
No, you never know.
I can't wait to see what kind of infestation this has brought to my house again. Yeah, we might as well just let this drain. Typical freaking star latches. Supposed to be a spring in them that holds them stuck, and this one's broken. I can't fit through there to unbolt the trunk latch, so I got every single extension I could get my hands on right away. I'm just gonna try to feed it back to the trunk latch itself, unbolt it, hope for the best. One. There it goes. Huh, maybe we should just shut this. More tags, 8-track.
An 8-track tape player.
Here's another 78 tag.
A radar sentry. How cool is that? There's the latch.
Oh yeah, for the trunk lock.
Yeah.
It's really not that bad back here. Actually, like the drops on the trunk. I mean, that's easy. Fix that.
Flat metal. This sucks.
That's. You might have to find that piece. We'll pre-soak this thing with various types of super clean. Get this algae off. It works pretty good for stuff like this. And they don't advertise this, but I imagine this stuff has got to kill most of the diseases attached to this car. This works a lot better if you just use it like this. Well, it's clean.
It's a sure saves.
I think this is one you just leave alone. It doesn't look that bad. I don't foresee this breaking free, but you know, let's see if we can just burn the car down instead. No.
Starter works.
Yeah.
That ain't moving.
It ain't even trying. Well, I guess what we'll do is yank that out and put a small block in it instead. Well, I think we're just going to let this thing air out, and then tomorrow I'll come out and try to bust the wheels loose, and I don't know, maybe get to work on that. It's going to be kind of a long-term project. It has at least 3 stuck wheels. We got to get the brakes freed up, try to get it over into the shop so we can really work on it. Supporting an X-frame car is always strange. Red drums for speed. Oh, I just broke it.
What?
I just broke the drum.
Oh.
Hell, I barely even hit that. Well, these are definitely stuck.
I was seeing chunks fly.
Yeah, me too. Something moved, but I think I just broke the outside from the inside part. Rain's moving in here. I'm going to try to get the front wheels off and soak the drums on the front. You can buy all the drums, but I would rather not, so if we can salvage any of them, that would be good. Superior. It's an S.
It's Kmart.
Yeah. Oh, it's got the spring on the drum. That's in case the brakes are shattery, that's supposed to soak it up. Not one of these guys is going to turn.
2,000 years later.
There. Yeah, we could still use that. Actually, it looks fine. And here is just stuck. If that wouldn't have broke so easy, I would have been more gentle, but it must be pretty soft. Yep, still stuck. Probably just jumped straight to the cutoff wheel. There.
God, the inside of that drum looks nice.
Yeah, no, we didn't cut up anything. Oh, well, I nicked the axle flange a couple times. Don't put any slicks on this side. It's not rusted to it. In fact, it's shiny in here. You can see where the shoe was, but it's not that bad. But it's sticky. It's like it, I don't know, it's like it was greased to it or something. We're going to pull the bearing and everything. It looks really nice in there. Looks like fresh grease. It's in good shape. It was replaced. It's a Koyo. Hell, the drum is coming loose from the hub. Usually they're too freaking rusty. Look at that.
It is. I can see it.
That's how they're supposed to work, but after 50 years, they hardly ever do. Yeah, it's got some pits in it. Obviously, put this back together better once we have it in the shop. It's still attached to the drum. Just have him turn that right off.
Like that.
We're gonna put some chump rollers on this thing for now. Quasi rally wheels. Not a huge fan of them, but they do hold air. That means they're the right ones for this job. Well, what could possibly go wrong here? The car's in here. We spent the last couple hours getting this, which is Dad's junkyard 350 with a $1,800 marketplace found blower setup attached to it. We don't know anything about it. Don't know if it's any good. Don't really care. It's Krylon rebuilt. It's ready to go. I'm waiting on some motor mounts and things like that to actually install it in this car. But this is the blown small block that will go in here. Now, will it run? Who knows? We'll figure that one out at some point. But we got to get the 6 out, probably pull the 4-speed and everything, clean everything. We want to detail up the engine bay of this car and do all the brake lines, make sure everything's done nice and tidy. Then, at the end, install that. Well, it's time for the real work to begin. Let me try to get this hood off. That way we can easily access everything in here. Goal for today is get this out. Maybe I'd be better off if I just let it hang down a little bit. If it starts off closer to the ground, it'll fall less far. Science today. Oh, there goes my hand. Ah, woo! Piece of shit broomstick wouldn't even hold up the hood. Ah. Well, let's get this boat anchor out of here. I'm gonna salvage as much stuff as we can. Meaning like hose clamps and bolts and nuts. It's that nickel and dime stuff. It really gets you every time you're putting a car together. He's got, with the blower and the engine there, about $2,500 in that. It's all used marketplace stuff. Then we got $850 in the car. And then I've got about $300 in brakes and then a clutch, pressure plate. It's gonna add up quick, but if we could keep this car under $5,000 legitimately, and like it's done for $5,000, you know, I think you'd be all right, even being a 4-door. Case in point. This battery cable's perfectly good. Use that as a ground on the new engine for sure. And then the bolt that attached it to the block. Nothing wrong with that. I don't have a wall of $50,000 worth of bolts. What I do have is drawers full of bolts from cars I've parted out. Everything on this engine will be going in those drawers if we don't use it. Red RTV on the water neck. Gotta say that's a new one. Big in ya? Yeah, a little bit. Great. That means I'm gonna make a mess. One very broken radiator. So we gotta unbutton this Muncie 4-speed here. It's supposed to be a rock crusher, but every old guy I've ever talked to says that every 4-speed is a rock crusher. You can see the X-frame design here. It's a terrible design. Just don't get in a wreck. There is a carrier bearing in there where it passes through the middle of the car. Pretty sure those bolts remove the bearing that's in this hole. And this spindly little drive shaft goes back there. I get a lot of crap when I bag on Fords for their way over-engineered, bizarre designs on everything year to year. Chrysler too. This is bizarre and stupid. Okay? Like, why did they do this? It does provide a good ride. I mean, there are benefits to it. It is very strong to the front and the back. Not so much the sides. I'm just going to leave the drive shaft in it. Try to pull the engine forward. I looked it up. Take out these 2 bolts that hold the carrier bearing in. Then you can remove the drive shaft. But frankly, they look pretty bad. I don't want to touch them if I don't have to. I know, it's not the right way to do it. If it's broke, you need to fix it. Well, it ain't broke yet, but it will be if I start jacking with it. You can bet on that. I'll get the speedo cable out of here. Then I'm going to take out the 2 transmission mount bolts, cross member bolts, put a jack under it, lift it up a little bit, and I should be able to unbolt the shifter, and then this thing is actually ready to come out. Damn it. There. Back on the ground. Should be ready to go if we can unbolt the shifter. I can pretty much assure you I'll never know how to put that back together. Maybe we can come up with something better. There we go. Yep, drive shaft's off.
Off all the numbers matching, guys.
With a 6-cylinder?
Yeah, the numbers matching 6-cylinder.
Oh. I don't know. It'll make a nice noise when it falls in a dumpster, though. It's about as painless as it goes. Let me pop that number in and see what comes up. Can't tell shit from that number, other than it's a 65 to 67 Muncie. So we got to get the bell housing off and then see what the input shaft looks like, and that might give us more clues. There she goes. 10 spline, 2 keeper rings. It's an M21, probably. If it was an M22, it would have a 26 spline shaft.
Oh, so it's totally different.
Yeah,
okay.
But it is a close ratio. It ain't no rock crusher. It's the typical old guy. Yeah, I had a rock crusher 4-speed, Matt. Like everybody did. Clutch is good. Flywheel is destroyed. I think he was probably having a lot of fun with it. Well, we'll go throw that in the landfill. We're going to back it back out there. Blast the engine bay, probably paint this up. I'm going to run all the brake lines and stuff while I can easily access everything. We might want to throw a block behind the tire, just in case. I mean, I don't know.
I'm sure it's fine.
Bust out the super clean, let's get to work.
It's like snow.
Colombian Christmas. This stuff is pretty brutal to breathe in, but it does work. All cleaned up, ready for paint. Satin black will hide our sins. Too lazy to actually disconnect the clutch rod here, so we're gonna freehand paint this black. There we go. See, some effort, but not too much. That's the key. I'm replicating all the factory runs. This looks terrific in here. Try to get this transmission cleaned up a little bit too. Maybe a dusting of aluminum paint on it. Then we should be ready to do brakes, actually. Give her a dusting of cast aluminum paint, which actually looks pretty good most of the time. And we all know if you just spray paint something, it's miraculously rebuilt and brand new. Back out today, waiting on some parts. Hopefully they show up. We got a few things we could do in the meantime. While I'm in here, we need to remove the frame side engine mounts. I have V8 engine mounts coming. These are conveniently bolted and nutted through the cross member. Very hard to get to. I'm not looking forward to that. You can access the bottom side of these bolts through this hole right here. It's actually more convenient than most of the other GMs. I'm not going to complain. I can get a wrench on these and not have to cut them off. Motor mounts are out of the way. Start getting these brakes off. Every one of these lines is going to break. Got our new Chinesian master cylinder here. One of the most favorite things of mine is the use brake fluid only. It's a high quality unit there. Bench bleeding. See the air bubbles coming out of there? Those are bad. So we're gonna depress the piston. Oh well, there it went. See how it's just shooting out fluid now? She's good to go. Don't break it. Looks like I gotta make a 1/4 inch brake line from here down to that little T. Gonna have to make 2 3/16 brake lines for each wheel. I imagine I'll be making a front to rear line. It's gonna be rotted somewhere in this thing, just judging by the thing itself. The wheel cylinders on these cars are single bolt. Ford did the same thing, but they used a nut. That's early Ford, early Chevy, basically the same thing, but it's a bolt that goes through, and it kind of lets that wheel cylinder wiggle back and forth a little. I don't know if that's on purpose or what. I mean, obviously it works just fine. I'm not like going all out on the brakes just yet. I want to get all the lines made. Part of getting the lines made is that I have to put in new wheel cylinders and brake hoses, and it's easiest to put the brake hose in with the wheel cylinder, but this is the wrong side, but you get the gist. Got all new brake lines in the front of the car, more or less. I think I will go ahead and slap these front brakes together. So we'll start with rebuilding the drums. That way they can cure. You can, of course, see that these are brand new. I'll just use my roadkillcustoms.com shop rag here to wipe them off. You can check them out. He's a good buddy of mine, and it's a great website if you need like wheel fitment information, chassis swap information. Not to mention he just does daily articles on cool shit. New. We won't be doing performance red. You know, we're going for the sleeper look. So if you have red brakes, you know, everybody knows that you've already added 100 horsepower to your car. So, you know, let's lay low with it. While we allow those to cure in the rebuilding process, I'll go ahead and slam this brake together and maybe go ahead and do the other one. Probably just do all the damn brakes, I guess. They need done anyway. It's not the stuff I want to do. I want to do the fun stuff, like that. That's the fun stuff. But, as a wise man once said, how can you have any pudding if you ain't had your meat? I have done at least 5,000 approximately drum brakes on this channel. I'm not going to go into it here. One thing to note though, remember, big on back. The big shoe goes on the back. This is your primary shoe, this is your secondary shoe. And one other tip, I just had to do this actually, even though I've done literally hundreds and hundreds of them. Leave one side together so you have a reference. And I did just need to reference where this guy went trying to salvage the brake adjusters by soaking them. I just threw it in. Once it had a little force on it, she works like a charm. Lacquer thinner and ATF, or acetone and ATF, or whatever you want to use. That's a damn good penetrant, man. Both front brakes are done. We still got to do the rears and run a line to the back of the car. But let's get all of this buttoned up. I'm going to pull inner wheel bearing seal, starting a nut on there. Just jerk it a couple times. It looks just fine. Anyway, we're going to wash out our old bearings. Honestly, these bearings look fine. They're even packed full of good grease. Nice and clean. Pack a bearing, get a little grease in your hand. Scrape the back side of the bearing until you see the fresh grease come out the front. I get the one size fits some wrench out. Crank them down all the way to push that grease in there. Then I back it off till it's loose. I basically just go to the first notch. Whatever the first notch in the castle nut is, that you back off to, stick your cotter key in there, you're good to go. I was just getting ready to put the drums on, and I realized nobody's ever knocked out the adjuster hole in these drums. There's a little knockout on here, and I've been trying to get it out. Well, you know what? I think we're just gonna guess. We'll just guess on our adjustment. It'll be fine. These are, of course, self-adjusting brakes. It all seems to be functional. So in theory, it'll be fine. So what we gotta do is just put them on there so they just barely grab. and the self-adjuster will do the rest. I'm surprised that's not knocked out. That means they did no final adjustment at the factory. They probably just backed the car up a bunch and slammed on the brakes. Too much. It's close enough for the self-adjuster to get it. I just ripped out the front to rear brake line on the car. I'm shocked. It is a 3/16 brake line. Usually, because of how the distance it has to travel, the front to rear line is a 1/4 inch so you can maintain volume. I'll make one of those, run it back there, new hose, new lines on the axles. I could have salvaged that front to rear line. I could probably salvage the axle lines, but I'm not going to, and there's one reason for that. That is the single pot master cylinder. Now, could I have converted it to a dual circuit? Sure. A little more work. Yeah, then you got to figure out what master cylinder fits and whatnot. There's really nothing wrong with a single pot master cylinder as long as everything's in good shape. When you're running that, it's a good idea to make sure all your brake lines are good and they're not going to blow out on you, because if you lose one brake line in the system, you lose your brakes. You won't have any. Well, Dad's putting some custom floor pans in the car.
High dollar. Look, they're chrome.
Seam sealed with liquid nails.
Look at that, huh?
Yeah, that's structural.
I should do some duct work.
I'm gonna make a brake line, try to get this whole deal wrapped up, and then we can move on to the fun stuff. Can't hook up the parking brake in this thing. It's supposed to go in this top hole here, and the hole is made just slightly too small. So we're just gonna hog that hole out a little bit. Now it fits. We're gonna bleed them. Start at the furthest corner away from the master cylinder. We got all new lines, so we gotta fill all the lines, then find all the leaks.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Feels like brakes to me. They don't really pump up, so I think they could use adjusted better, but we'll just let the car do that.
Do that backwards.
Oh wow, it's a factory stick shift car now.
Yeah, it was a 4-speed.
Crazy.
From the factory. I know you can't do this, but you know.
Yeah, you got to put a whole nother steering column in it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to put this shifter on this transmission. Dad got this Hurst shifter off a marketplace. The benefit to this, as opposed to that slop box factory shifter, is A, it's not a slop box. B, you can remove the arm. You can't remove the arm off the factory shifter. Get all this set up and then put it in the car and then bolt our shifter arm on. Easy peasy. This isn't going to work. The rods it came with are the wrong ones. I'm going to guess they're for a T10 or something. I could almost make those factory rods work, but not quite. So I need to do some shopping, as I am not creative enough to figure out how to make shifter arms. You know, I'm sure someone will be like, well, we'll just make them out of thin air. Like, I know there's people that can. I'm not one of them. Well, it's been a couple of days, and I had to buy a installation kit for an early Muncie. She works just like it should. Hurst Super Comp 4-speed. Man, that shifter is very expensive, so I'm glad we were able to at least use that. I just had to buy the rods and arms. I ordered V8 motor mounts. They didn't fit particularly well. I had to beat on them a little bit, and then they lined up. So I got to bolt those guys down. Then we're going to get the motor off the stand, get the transmission attached. Now, someone smarter than me, or with more money, would probably rebuild this transmission before installing. We're not going to do that. I will go ahead and throw a new throwout bearing in it, though. This one is not great. It's not actually that bad, but we're here. Get the clutch fork off of here. There. Unfortunately, the clutch fork is bad. The tabs that hold the throwout bearing in are snapped off. I don't think I snapped them off. I think they've been snapped off, and this thing's just been kind of living on borrowed time in here. Not a lot of grab on there. So I have to figure out what kind of clutch fork this is, and then try to get another one, because everything is specific. If you ever wonder why I don't do a whole lot of 4-speed stuff, this is why. Shifter unique, specific to the car. Even every little things like this, the throwout bearing, everything is specific to a certain car. It's a lot of work to figure out what the hell even works on something. There's not a part number on this that I can find. I overnighted one for a 66 Chevelle. It looks kind of similar. Maybe it's the right one. Since I'm waiting for a clutch work, I guess I might as well pull the gas tank out of this thing. We got one of those coming too. Good thing Dad turned the whole car into a porcupine for me though. Thankfully the tank's back here, away from the spines. I should probably get this exhaust pipe off too. Oh, fuck. I don't know how much you guys can see in there. It's actually not that bad. I mean, there's some rust. I mean, as long as there's not a hole in it, that's probably usable. It's conveniently shaped enough that, hell, I might keep that around. Dad already ordered a new one for it, so we may as well put a new tank in, but that might be perfectly fine. I got most of the old line out. Was going to think about using it as a return line, but, well, it actually had some holes rotted in it, so I'm glad we did this anyway. Got a chunk of line here, and I'm just going to kind of run it next to that brake line all the way back. We can at least call that done. New fuel line ran. It's kind of messy, but it'll work. Another good thing is that's a 3/8 fuel line as opposed to the 5/16 fuel line, and we might actually need that with the blower. I can at least get the motor mounts on. We can pull it off the stand. We can get the flywheel on. Get our clutch mounted up and the pressure plate. These are the correct motor mount for early GM. They're a little bit different than the clamshell type of the later ones. Allow me to install this on my radial engine stand here. For a flywheel, I just got the standard issue rebuilder flywheel here. Nothing special. And if I've learned anything in my day, it doesn't fit. Are you fucking Guess I got the wrong flywheel. I don't know how that happens. I thought all Chevys were pretty much the same. Unless this is for a one-piece motor. Actually, forgot I need to put a pilot bushing in it. I hope this pilot bushing fits. Yeah, it'll fit. Let me order the right flywheel. Because realizing that the flywheel I had purchased was the wrong one wasn't enough bad news, I decided to give myself more. Oh, terrific. It's either a 262 or a 305. Oh, this is gonna love the blower. I never even looked at the numbers. It's like it is either a 1977 or 1982 305. Better than 262. So anyway, we'll put it in regardless. Well, mystery solved. I don't know what the hell this is for, but it's not for this. Even the bolt circle is completely different. The part number on the box is right, but I'm gonna guess that the chuckle put the wrong one in the box. All we'll be able to do tonight is put the pilot bushing in. I'll go eat my supper. I'm gonna put this in the freezer so it kind of shrinks, and then hopefully we can drive it in easier. You can see the frost on the pilot bushing. It has started. Now I'll take a socket and drive it in the rest of the way. All there is to that, I just drove it in flush with the crank. Good to go. I ordered the same part number again, and look, it fits. Like I was starting to say before we had that issue, I'll cheap out on the flywheel. This is a $90 no-name job here. I won't cheap out on the hardware. ARP fasteners, always. And just a little bit of blue thread locker. Then we're going to torque these to 60 foot-pounds. I've never had a flywheel bolt back out, but I have had flex plate bolts back out, and it's no fun to have to pull an engine just to freaking tighten a bolt, you know. I'll run these down in a crisscross pattern, just like you're tightening down a wheel. I'll come back around and torque them. I got this flywheel turner here. It's a very handy tool to have. Stick it in the teeth of the flywheel, and then you can hold it still while you torque it. It's great for rolling engines over too. Before we install anything, I'm going to take some brake clean and degrease the flywheel and the pressure plate. Our clutch alignment tool to get it started in the clutch. Dad's going to get the seat out of this so we can shove something in here. Maybe better than this one. You just want to cut the feet off, right?
If you can, yeah.
Okay, we'll do that with the Sawzall. Let's go see what I have around here for a seat while we're waiting for clutch parts. We took inventory of the multiple junk automobiles on my property and decided that the quasi-cop car LTD was a pretty decent fit. It didn't really work out that way. There was no tracks on the seat, and the Chevy has a very strange floor pan. It's kind of lumpy. So we decided to make a trip to Pick and Pull. Now we found a seat here in the Pick and Pull. So I'm using this steering column to loosen the bolts because they're very, very tight. Need that extra leverage. It's not great, but it's 60 bucks. We can put a cover on it, and those stands look pretty universal.
I love those stands.
Those work good.
Now the seat may even be the right width. It's exactly right.
It's pretty damn close. A little tall, but
Yeah, I was going to say.
shorten it. And we got our new clutch fork, and it is similar, but it's about, I mean, you can see it, it's at least half an inch shorter. I don't know. Also, the pivot balls, both pivot balls, are smaller. This one's quite a bit larger, and where the actual clutch rod goes. So I think what we're going to do is rob the spring clip out of the new one and just put it in the old clutch fork. So this is off, and we're going to have to take this one off. Then we'll drill a hole to match. Here's our solution. We're going to bolt and nut this new spring into the old clutch fork. Just like that. Burn a little weld on that, hold it in place, cut off the excess, and pray. It's ugly as sin, but it'll work. There we go. It works. Well, it seems to work. Anyway, we can bolt it on. Well, the bell housing is wrong. That's for a 10.5-inch clutch, and it won't fit. I ordered a bell housing that will allegedly fit. It'll be here tomorrow. I guess I could work on getting that seat in there. If I took just an inch off of this, just on the front, I bet it would kind of lever down. Right here. Cut that off. Just some slight alterations to make yet. One moment. We're gonna get this. This is about as good as it gets. You can see I have lots of cobbling to do. I'm just going to weld back in the L bracket there. I'll have to make one for the back. But it's in there level. It's a little bit tight, sits a little bit tall, but it's sitting on the hump of the drive shaft. What I'm going to do is notch the seat frame just a bit. I think we could take an inch out of it anyway, and that'll kind of keep your legs rubbing on the steering wheel. It's a big ass steering wheel, so otherwise we may not have this problem. Am I weakening the seat to the point that it will hold nothing? Yes, but have you seen the rest of the car? That's a lot better. Begin the butchery. Let me tell you, I am just terrible at this. I was able to reuse a couple of the factory bolt holes, which is nice. And we'll have to drill 2 holes, and we will have a real live seat in the car. It works. It even slides back and forth. I can't push this side at the same time. I think that cable's broken that goes to the track, but she's freaking solid, man. I'm happy with that. We got a win. Also, I forgot that there's a 2x4 under the seat. And, well, you can't see it now, but there is a 2x4 under the seat I was using to space it up. It is not coming out. That is now permanent. Well, I got a new Lakewood bell housing. Should work. I'm going to try to wrestle that on there. One thing, real quick. Look, nothing you're seeing here in this build, or most of the ones on the channel, is sponsored. Everything here comes out of my pocket. Pay the same amount that you do. And that's not typically the case for most automotive YouTubers. I think we all know that. What I would rather do is you go get you a sweet hat or shirt at a pretty reasonable price on polebarnmerch.com. We've got new hoodies out there. Just crocheted some stocking caps, and they're all hand done, you know. Those are on there like right now. I don't know if they'll be sold out, but if they do get sold out, we have fitted stocking caps, you know, typical ones with PBG on them. I'm not very good at selling this stuff. Like, if you go on there, you're going to find something you want just in time for Christmas. We even got fuzzy dice, got lighters. I mean, you know, we got all kinds of stuff. So if you could just go buy something from the store there, that helps me. Helps me keep the corporate BS out of the channel. Hey, that bell housing is $400. Lakewood bell housing. But had to have it, right? Now, could I have called Summit Racing and said, hey, can I have this? Yeah, I could have, but it just feels cheap to me, and I don't think it's relatable. Polebarnmerch.com. Thanks. Let me wrestle this thing on. There we go. It's going, but this freaking engine always is moving. So it's right there, but it won't go. Alright, it won't go. Dad came over and helped me get this stupid thing on here, and it's on now. We did the no-no thing and sucked it on with bolts. But it worked. We're going to put our new starter on. I go with the Power Master Mini Starter. These are made in Illinois. 130 bucks for that guy there. Just easier, you know. Much as I would love to follow Power Master's instructions and check the ring gear tolerance on this starter, you can't with this bell housing. At least I don't know how to. So, checked. It works. Didn't grind. Top off the trans. I got this suction gun at the thrift store for $1. I wouldn't get under that.
No.
There we go. It's mostly there. We just set her in. It actually clear. Oh wait, we should look at the Z-bar maybe before we commit fully. Well, our fine high quality motor mounts from Dynacorn. This one installed crooked and it was weird. Remember I said that? So I'm just going to weld it solid. We're going to shove a bolt in it and then weld the bolt head to it. That will pin the engine together. And the next guy who has to pull it out, he'll need a sawzall.
99% of the time, 60% of the time, it's safe.
Oh, that's good stuff there. I'm not going to find that on Discovery Channel, I can tell you that. Dad had bought some mystery brand headers here. They don't fit. But it's not really the header's fault, actually. It's the X-frame's fault. There's just not a lot of room in here. And you see, we run into the Z-bar, run into everything. Now, what does fit is a ram horn manifold, which is what the factory used. Plenty of room, right down in the middle. We'll use these if we have to. I ordered some block hugger headers because they're so cheap. It would make life a lot easier because this engine has the dipstick in the back, like this. And with the dipstick like that, you really almost can't use these. We could do a lot of other things before we have to worry about exhaust. For a carburetor, we have the carburetor of choice for the lazy enthusiast, such as myself. The Edelbrock AVS2. These are bolt on and go 99.9% of the time. And also, why are we using it? Because I'm putting a tri-power setup on the 64 Le Mans, the one I painted blue that didn't get that many views. You guys need to go watch that. This is a spare, and it may as well be getting used, you know. Dad was hoping to keep this under the hood. I don't know if that's going to happen. Well, I thought the accelerator pedal might be a bit of an issue. So it's one of those Speedway universal jobs. I've had this laying around for a minute. Kind of matches the other pedals other than the shininess. It's adjustable, so you can position the arm and the pedal wherever you want. And then you just bolt it to the firewall. And then you make your own cable. And I just use the Mr. Gasket cable thing here. They're not great, not gonna lie, but they do work. So for this thing, you gotta like take this nut off of here, and this is what actually holds it in the firewall. I'll have to go bolt this into the car. And then this side, you know, you feed the cable back through, and I had to put this little clevis deal on the end. So you kind of have to like have the whole thing assembled on the inside of the car, install it, then move to the outside of the car. It's kind of a bitch. There's one secret to making this garbage work, and that is you can't have it make extreme angles. That's the secret. I'm just gonna kind of mount the throttle pedal where I think it should go. Anything that's universal, that basically means it doesn't work. I'll shoot a self-tapper in it just to hold it for now. Here I got my El Cheapo Mr. Craps at throttle bracket on. Literally found it laying on the floor over there. We're gonna have to cut this cable, and then we'll have to put this little clevis on. Wow, the clevis they provided does not fit over the throttle bracket that they provided. And then there's an Allen screw that just pinches the cable inside of it. Look at this shit. See how this is from the Mr. Gasket cable kit. And the hole, it's not big enough. It don't work. What the hell? I guess I'll drill that out. And to make a couple adjustments to the throttle pedal. But I got it bolted down tight. No self-tappers permanently, you know. But it works. It's kind of sloppy, you know. I don't know what that's about. Don't mind me. I'm just converting this into a negative cable. Trick of the trade. We are, of course, converting to a internally regulated alternator, and what you do to do that is just run one wire to the battery. It's easy. You have to excite the alternator. So you could use a keyed 12-volt source and go to what I think it's the number 2 terminal on the Delco alternator, or you could just jump straight to the back of it and it'll just be excited all the time. Be cautious, it might cause a dead drain on your car. Kind of going off of memory, but I've bypassed the regulator. Got power going to the horn relay, which is where the cabin power for the car comes from. I do have cabin power. The only things that work are the right indicator and the shift indicator light. Nothing else works. Now I'm thinking this thing might have a neutral safety switch. That might be why we don't have a crank. So we can see that when I turn the key, it's sending power, which is a good thing. I don't know if it's getting through the neutral safety switch or not, but we don't need it anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and bypass it and we'll see what happens. If it wasn't abundantly obvious, this car needs a complete wiring harness. But it's not gonna get one. What it will get is the bare minimum. Starting with, will it crank? Now we just need an ignition wire, and that's as far as I'm going with it, at least for now. Originally, the car has points, which runs through a ballast resistor and drops the voltage from 12 to about 9. We can't use that with an HEI. So we have to find a wire that has voltage with the key on and voltage while it's cranking. That's the kicker. So I have my lovely assistant Jess in the car, and she'll crank the engine. Right now I have 12 with the key on. Crank. Drops to 9. I'm going to check a couple things on the fuse box at the same time. That works, but there is actually an ignition terminal on the fuse block, and I like that better. This wire is pretty thin, and I'm pretty sure it's the alternator exciter wire originally. I don't know if that'll carry enough voltage for that coil. It probably would, but we'd be better off running our own wire out of that fuse block there. That'll be solid. So we're wired for sound. We should have a charging system, we have a cranking system, and we should have ignition. I was just about to turn in, but decided I'd see if this radiator fits, and boy does it. Dad gave like $107 for this thing on eBay. Looks like a 3-row aluminum DH. I don't know. DH Racings, plural. It has a lot of holes drilled in it for a lot of different mounting, and they're all slotted so you can move it around. I am thoroughly impressed by this piece of Chinesium. It's pretty good. Go ahead and mount the death fan on here. Just, stay out of the plane of rotation. Nope, this isn't going to work. With a 3-inch spacer, we could probably run it, but then we would need a shroud for that to cool at all. So, I have a bunch of cold case fans and shrouds left over, because I don't generally run electric fans. That dual 12-inch shroud and these fans will definitely cool the shit out of this. And it fits like perfect. We just have to make some modifications. Got 90-degree edges on the sides now. Theoretically, it'll just bolt right to this radiator. It's already got some kind of flange here to mount.
And self-tappers will hold it to it.
Oh, for sure. I've ghetto engineered a 87A relay into this thing, and it will work as soon as I put a toggle switch in. We will use the toggle switch to trigger the relay, which will send battery power to the fans. It's way undersized, but don't worry about that. Dad got these really classy gauges installed. boy, this thing's moving a shit ton of air. Right, we're waiting on a lower radiator hose. The one I bought is way too big. It's huge. I guess the earlier small block must have a bigger outlet. I didn't have anything to fit, so we're probably gonna have to go flex hose on that, but whatever. Mortsky can get over it. Mortsky is saved. We didn't have to use flex hose. Dad found that one. I don't know if Mortsky would care about that flex hose. Do they have YouTube in prison? We just put the head gasket fix in a bottle in now, or do we want to wait? Dad's gonna chop a hole in the hood of that perfectly good hood.
We're going to try. I'll cut a hole in it. Whether it fits or not, that's a whole different story. Pretty goddamn close.
It's pretty good. Once the hood goes down.
You have to have it this wide because it's got to clear it when it opens.
Well, it clears. Well, it's going to be a little inconvenient to finish the work on it, but...
Core support, maybe.
Yeah.
Center support.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Ta-da!
When you cut things like this, right, the factory uses dum-dum and glues the outer shell to the inner bracing. So what works really good as a replacement for that is window weld, or windshield urethane, because this is some Amazon variant of it. But you just kind of fill in the gaps around the braces with it, and it'll keep it from rattling. And then if you get messy, like that, take a putty spreader, take it off the top, there you go.
This is a perfect example, guys, of build what you got. You can take anything and make it cool.
If it runs, it'll be great.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then we'll just have to do it again. I mean, really, it's an $850 car.
Exactly.
You know, what else do you do with this?
If you're sitting there at home thinking you have to wait until you get you a two-door whatever, you're never going to get it unless you start on something else first. And here's a perfect example. And this is a family car. If you got kids at home with you, take it to a cruise night, for God's sake. I mean, it's a cool car.
Well, we got our new headers, and I just checked them, and they do fit pretty good, actually. Block hugger style. It's apparently what you need in an X-frame car. We got to paint them before we put them on, though. These aren't coated with anything. They were $90 from Speedway. Finest quality. Look how thin that flange. Paint them with some header paint. That way they look good for about 10 minutes. And then it all falls off. And then they rust. Then you have exhaust leaks. I'm going to get started with this. I have a task for you.
Okay.
Pull that plug right there, that pipe plug. It's an Allen head.
This one?
No, the one below. Well, wait. Actually, yeah, pull the one on top.
Okay.
And then let's just stick something down in there and make sure there's oil in the blower.
Yep.
It's probably good.
Yeah, probably.
See, the header fits really nice. Well, since we don't have a gas tank yet, because we're waiting on the filler neck hose, you know, we'll put the NHRA tank in. Yeah, the cool thing about this car is you just pick a hole, right? And, like right here, it's really, really convenient. I mean, look at it. Reroute some plug wires. I am missing the wiring harness portion of my timing light. I'm pretty sure I left it in Arizona. You know, not like it's a forced induction engine or anything where timing is absolutely critical. It's definitely not that, so I'll just time it by ear. Let's fill the bowls on this and hope the distributor's in right. It's hard to fill the bowls on these Edelbrocks. I'll be damned, it fired right up.
Yeah. I don't want to run it too long because we actually might melt those.
Huh?
They're pretty close.
No, they'll last for a while. Not very long, but trust me, anybody who's ever ran a small block Chevy with headers knows that you run them for a week. I think it might be knocking.
It just sounds pretty bad.
But it could just be the open header right there.
Ooh, we won't know until we got exhaust.
Carries good oil pressure. Oil's clean.
Yeah.
It doesn't run that bad.
Is it clean right now?
Mm-hmm.
And there's coolant.
Yeah,
all
leaking
over.
coolant out of the water neck, which conveniently you have to remove the blower to access.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. We can see if it will move.
Yeah.
Maybe we do that.
Go drive it.
Yeah. Now, what time is it?
Go drive it up and down the driveway or something.
Yeah, don't have no lights. 9:30. I'll back it out. How about that?
Back it out. Yeah.
I think it's the flywheel.
The flywheel?
Yeah.
Can you hear it in the inside?
See the inspection cover? And the rolled, bent piece of metal? I think that might be our problem.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It won't come off. You give me a flathead?
Yeah.
It's very stuck. Kind of like it got wadded up. Oh!
Turn it around. Oh, wow.
I think that was probably it. Okay, well, we just don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Problem solved. I'm a mechanic. Never mind the bars leak on the fender. That's just in case. Got a new timing light. So let's fire it up and try to get our timing set. It's going to be hard to do on this because the marker's straight up and down on this one. I got it locked down at 14 initial, which is about 32 total. That's pushing it for a blower. Thankfully, it's a turd, so I don't think it'll hurt it. But that distributor is one of those Chinese distributors, and its advance is all over the place. Like, I mean, it's bouncing from 40 to 30. It just won't hold anything steady. They're just junk. May need to revisit that at some point. We'll see if it's a problem.
Coolant. Still.
Yeah, it's leaking pretty good. Get our safety stuff engaged here. Way cheaper than a door latch. I think this thing might be beyond cut and buff.
I still feel it.
Yeah, it's better though.
Well, I'm going to see if I can polish the inside.
It got some of it off though. There's some extra heavy cut on a whole pad. Might just need glass though. No. I don't think so anyway. No.
I don't think so.
It's etched into that glass. I don't know what the hell it is.
It's like something acidic, like ate
Yeah,
it.
it could be acid rain or some shit.
Well, let's take it for a test run. I've got my tuning laptop. Well, what do you think? I think that's third.
Yeah.
Wow. It's really slow.
Yeah.
God bless. Looks like like the temperature's good. Good oil pressure. God. Wow.
That's bad.
Wow, it is so slow. You know, it actually drives pretty good. Stops pretty good. We'll get it back home. We'll pull a spark plug, see what it looks like.
It would not climb RPM.
No, it's such a...
4,000 RPM, no more.
It is a 305. I mean, they're just kind of the way they are.
It's a built 305.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a burnout.
Okay, want me to get out?
Yeah. Well,
Do it.
I'm gonna try to do a burnout. Let me pull up here.
I better hold my hand.
It does drive really good. Like, I didn't touch anything. I didn't even put shocks on it.
Oh, wow.
It does drive pretty damn good.
Did it blow up?
No, it's just really, really slow.
Unbelievable. I just pulled the easiest plug to get to, and it's a little bit on the lean side, but it's brown. That's what you want, is that light brown color. You don't want white, and you don't want black. I'm gonna recheck the timing because maybe it moved around or something. Got 14 degrees. It didn't count. It's actually more like 16 degrees. Realizing that the timing marks apparently didn't mean anything at all, we just resorted to timing it by ear and cranking it till it talked to us. That is a ton of blow-by.
Didn't smoke that bad before.
More timing, more cylinder pressure, more blow-by. So blow-by is pressure, is compression going down into the crankcase and then getting shoved back out the breathers. But it also has a blower attached to it, so if it was bad before, it's going to be worse now. PCB valve would help a lot. I don't know how much a blower would like to eat engine oil, but that's what it's going to do. It's super comfortable. I know, it's not that bad. That's a lot better than it was. You didn't go bring your race car, but that was respectable. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's so slow as hell. It is, and honestly, it's cruising. Good Lord, I mean, we're doing 75 right now. It feels like it don't run that bad. I mean, it's just shit. I know. It drives super good.
This would be a comfortable family car.
And look at that, hold 180. It's happy enough. I'm happy. It's not that bad. It's just gutless, that's all. Yeah, that's all blow-by.
no highway gear. 75 miles an hour, full 3 grand. Out of a junkyard motor. They got $500 in a motor, spray painted it, put a used blower on it. There you go. This seat is great. Oh, I love this. It's so comfortable. And I love its adjustment.
You just beat the daylights out of the thing.
Oh my God.
Never got over a tick over 180.
No, not while driving.
Drives good. These tires are from the Reagan administration, and it still drives good.
Yeah, that's a good thing. We get those tires put on tomorrow.
Yeah, we got new wheels and tires coming, and we gotta get the gas tank in, of course. You know, it's not gonna win any races, but it is pretty f***ing cool, and that's all that really matters.
See, somebody pulls into a cruise night and they see this turd pull up. Oh, look, he's got one of those dumbass scoops on it. Well, that's cool. They can make fun of it all they want until you open up the hood and it looks like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not lying.
No, that's legit.
Mm-hmm.
That is legit. She's not a race car.
But you could drive this car probably every day.
With a blower.
Yeah. Also, the coolant leak stopped. Isn't that, what a miracle. Huh, weird. I definitely didn't put any stop leak in it. I didn't want to end this video before we put some new wheels and tires on this thing. Dad's here with them right now. There's the wheels. Torque Thrust D's on Mastercrafts. And the backs are 8-inch with a 3/4 inch offset. Boy, they gave me the special balance on this one.
What's that?
They stack the weights on top of each other. Whoa, wait a minute. Oh my God.
What?
Look at the way they balance this wheel. Fucking idiots. They were off here, so they started adding weight to the other side. It's directly across from me. Rubbing slightly on the tie rod, so I'll make some clearance. Take a little off the end of it. I mean, 1/8 of an inch. The rest of it'll self-clearance, I'm sure. We have to do some acrobatics to get this thing in, but it might just work. That's a 275/60 tire. That's probably all you could fit in here.
12-inch face straight.
That is perfect. We have way more room on this side, for whatever reason. But I bet it squares up when we drop it.
Probably.
Also, look what just showed up. New Hawaiian shirts. PoleBarnMerch.com. Look at that. Oh, it's glory. Get yours now. PoleBarnMerch.com. Man, you could fit that entire wheel in the wheelhouse. If you slammed this thing...
I think it'd be fantastic. That's
Oh, it's perfect.
tubbed. I love it.
Oh, you got a mile. Well, you don't have a mile. You've got a finger, maybe.
In front or the outside edge?
Just the lip. The front's fine.
Okay.
Maybe you need to trim it a
I
little.
can take it off.
It didn't raise the car. It just pushed the suspension up. Isn't that
That's badass. Oh my God, Bo, that's fantastic.
something rubbing real bad?
It just wouldn't move.
Tie rod is jammed into the wheel hard. Whenever we had it suspended, no weight on it, there was enough room, but with weight on it, right now I got the jack under the control arm, and not gonna happen.
I'm taking off what bird up,
Yeah,
and I cut that. So,
that one rolls good.
well, that's what I'm saying. And this one I did the exact same thing to that.
Yeah.
And I just took the bird up spot. I couldn't just do it on one half because that's the way it was screwed up.
Yeah.
So then I took the bird off spot all the way around. Maybe it'll make it work better.
They would run a wheel spacer, but there's just not enough wheel space for it to be safe.
So it's much better to grind the f***ing wheel.
Yeah. That's
where is that rubbing? It felt like it was a front tire.
I didn't see it on the outside. It must be hitting on the inside.
I'm sure it's not. I felt it. She just said, I'm going to have a very wide turn radius. Oh, that's outstanding. I think that cat is in the trunk. It is.
Yeah, well, she's looking for mice. She'll get out. Maybe.
Kitty, kitty. Out.
I think that does it for this one. Dad's got a new rat rod, an actual rat rod, not covered in like shovels and stuff,
Yeah.
you know, antique saws and
Things we can weld together.
This is truly a rat rod because it's a ratty, inexpensive, pretty much worthless car with a bunch of cool stuff bolted to it. And wheel and tire fitment is everything, of course. So, hey, if you want to see more like this is the kind of stuff I'd rather do. So check out polebarnmerch.com, and that helps fund this. You might have noticed that there's not one single sponsored part in this entire car. So everything is used.
Pick and pull.
Yeah, pick and pull. That's how I like to do things. I don't care how other people do it, but that's how I do it. See you guys next time on Pole Barn Garage, probably on that white Pontiac in the background. We just drove it down the road. The blower belt fell off.
That may be why it was running like shit.
Yeah, it was really not happy. Because it was running good at first, and then it wasn't running so good. That's sad. It must be why.
Yeah, I'll have to order. Well, I'm sure this belt's usable. Oh,
But-
shit.
Oh, no.
This belt is not.
Better get the number off of that before there's nothing left of it.